A very warm welcome everyone, my name is Nick and we're looking at the Atari 2600, a game called Grand Prix. This was published by Activision in 1982 and was designed by David Craig. Now this game is the first Atari game to feature shaded objects in colour. So Mr. David Crane had worked out how to do it, and this is the first time he instigated it and chose Formula 1 as a good way of doing it with the bodywork and livery. So we'll see how this goes. Now it's a time trial. Fire button to accelerate. If you go left it will decelerate, but essentially it's just up and down as we go forward. There's 4 different tracks in this time trial, so once you've finished you have to write down your time and hopefully your friends will try and beat you. It's always straight, there's no bends at all, so we manoeuvre our way around here. If you crash into other cars it will cost you time, but you don't get lives or anything like that. You just get to the end as quickly as you possibly can. You will go quicker than all the other cars, they are just obstacles in this rather than direct competitors. You will come up against oil slicks, traffic and the occasional bridge. Now there is 4 circuits on this, all straight. They were given real track names, but they're nothing like the real tracks. The first one, which we see here, is Watkins Glen in New York. We finished that in 44.11. See if you can beat that. I bet you can. The second track is Brands Hatch, which is slightly longer in the UK. Then the Bugatti circuit in France, which I think is used for Le Mans or near Le Mans. And then the last one is Monaco, which is nothing like Monaco at all. I think I would have played this quite a lot as a kid looking at this, but we'll try and up it to the next track. It doesn't load it automatically, so you do need to select it, or at least the version I'm playing doesn't do that at all. So you know all about the gameplay, you know what to do now, so we'll do one go of each track to see how the game varies. Should be more traffic each time. So we're going to Brands Hatch in the UK. Always the same coloured car, I think. It never randomises up and gives you a different colour. But just to repeat what I said before, this was the first Atari game, that's why we're reviewing it too, features shaded objects in more than one colour. So you can see this car here, it's got red bits, it's got blue bits. Good. It's quite basic, but it is 1982, and if I had this back in the day I would have played it quite a bit. Not sure if it come out on any other systems. It's a sort of game where you might expect it on public domain on the Commodore Amiga. Someone might have had a crack at it on the ZX Spectrum to convert it across. But it's good. Doesn't age particularly well, but I can look at it as a bit of history, a bit of a curio. Now, if you had this one back in the day, what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? Did you play it a lot? I think as soon as things like Enduro come along, which is more 3D than this, a bit more advanced, I don't think you would have played it too much because that was taking things into another world. But in terms of 8-bit gaming, early gaming, I'm quite enjoying this. It's quite good fun. Different coloured cars. Beforehand, if you played any other games, they all would have been very similar colours. It wouldn't have been too much varied. And this does look quite nice as we go over a bridge. Can move quite fast. All the other cars seem a bit of a blur. I don't think it's really worth slowing down with the brakes really, just go as quick as you can, and if you bump into anyone, well, it just costs you a bit of time. I don't know if a group of your friends had this back in the day and always comparing about what who got the fastest times and stuff, but the cartridges tend to be quite expensive, so it might be a case that you all went round one person's house and played that a lot round there. Grand Prix, it's a simple name. I don't think it's licensed by any Formula 1 teams, so I presume this is what cars looked like round about then, was it? I'm not sure. Red car, I suppose that would be the Ferrari, but I don't remember there being blue bits in it, so it is quite generic in there. Now, if you know what other games David Crane did, then let me know about that as well. If there are any other Atari 2600s, because I'll have a look at those as we gradually build up the catalogue. So 1 minute 30.74. Is that good? Probably not. Time to have a look at track 3. So yes, track 3 is in France, as I said, the Bugatti circuit situated near Le Mans. But you won't recognise it, so don't expect anything like Gran Turismo or anything like that here in terms of accuracy. It is always straight, there are no corners. All oil slicks are turning up now to try and make it extra tricky. That will throw you either left or right, possibly into a car. So we manoeuvre around very, very quickly. Yeah, some of these cars are very slow. I don't think they deserve to be Formula 1 cars. I certainly wouldn't sponsor them. Oh dear, I've took a clip there. So the cars don't destruct. They don't lose any wheels, anything like that. It's as basic as you can get. Stands up really well, I think, for 1982. I mean, pole position was to come later on, but this, in terms of 2D top-down action, large sprites, moves fast, quite basic to learn how to do it quite quickly, 4 different difficulty levels. It's a winner. Not quite sure how it was reviewed back in the day, but as I said, from a historical retro look, I quite enjoy it. Not sure how many times I'll play it again, but I wouldn't be disappointed if I was forced to. Quite often when I review a game of a certain genre on a certain system, people say, Nick, if you enjoyed that one, have a look at this other one, the Atari 2600, and I'll have a look at that one as well. About 570 odd games, isn't there? So enough to keep us going for some time. And I suppose there was a homebrew market as well, so some people might have adapted this or changed it slightly or put extra bits in here and there. So as we can say, the only difference really between the 4-track is the length and the amount of traffic, and there might be the odd bridge to go through. You might see that cars here don't actually go over the bridge, they will stop just beforehand, almost as if they're scared of a troll under the bridge or something like that. Hopefully that happens. When you crash into the other cars, it does flash a bit and you get a sound effect, which is good, not just an explosion. There we go, so cars never go over that, they stop beforehand. They're too scared. There must be, as I say, a wolf or a troll under the bridge that'll smash all their cars up. Down, 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 bam, bam. So if you was into Formula 1 back then, in the UK, all the Formula 1 races were on celestial televisions. You can see the whole lot without adverts. That's seeming like heaven now, isn't it? Even tracking down the races without adverts, incredible. But the whole race, the whole Formula 1 race with no adverts. Unbelievable. Take me back to those times. I wish we could have that again. But, you know, that's retro for you. You're always going to have a bit of a rose-tinted spectacles going back there. But for me, that was the best era. Ayrton Senna, Nigel Mansell, Alain Prost, Nelson Piquet. The sudden emergence of Michael Schumacher as a young upstart. Good times. Right, so we just got to do track 4 and then we'll call it a day. Quite a fun game. It's not frustrating at all. Collision detection is good. Lots to like about this one. Of course, it would come out in 2002. I wouldn't be so kind on it. But 1982, gaming was in its infancy still. It was just getting underway. The Atari 2600, often known as the VCS, come out in 1977, so a good 5 years before the, or longer, before the ZX Spectrum, which I got into, the rubber keyboard. Yes, 8-bit glory. As I say, left or on the joystick is brake, but no real need to do that. No time limit ticking down. That would have been a good option if you have to do through checkpoints. That would have been a good extra thing. But there's always a limit to how much they could compress on the cartridge. I understand a lot of these games, from the comment section and other ones I reviewed, a lot of the games were rushed to try and meet a deadline, leading to a lot of poor games, which eventually led to the gaming crash of the early 80s, where Atari or whoever had just manufactured too many games of not very good quality. And manufacturing more games than there were actual consoles, so that was always going to end in disaster, wasn't it, really? Gaming crash didn't really happen in Europe and the UK, seemed just to be a US phenomenon. Whoops, oh dear, that's a bit of a collision. Keep going. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. The last race was, what was it, 1 minute 30? I wasn't paying attention. Whoops, over the bridge, I'll try to. Looks like there's water either side. You can't go into the water. Grand Prix. I should do a review sometime of all the Formula 1 and racing games we've reviewed, particularly Formula 1, let's say, on the channel so far. Must be loads and loads of them. And the most modern one I've done, which isn't really that modern now, is Formula 1 2010 on the PlayStation 3 by Criteria Games. If Criteria, who was ever doing them, wants to send me a free copy of 2018 on the PlayStation 4, then do so. But I've got a normal PlayStation 4. I'm not sure. Do you need a PlayStation 4 Pro to play that Formula 1 18? Don't know about that. Actually, let's send me one of those as well. Why not? And some alcohol and some whiskey and a banana. Yeah, I think that's enough for one day. Right, we're really speeding it. We must get to the end soon. Oh man, no speedo, but that's not important. 1 minute 52. Get round this. Must be near the end quite soon, I would imagine. Engine sounds are okay. They're quiet enough. Not in your face to become annoying, but it's good to have them there. Feels more like a hairdryer with something caught in it. But oh, other than that, the sounds are good. I generally like the sounds that come out of this Atari 2600 console. Could produce some great retro sounds. If you grew up with them back in the day, you would get a nice feeling every time you hear them, which is good. I get that a little bit with the ZX Spectrum as well, with the beeper. Beep 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 beep. Good impression, Nick. Good impression. Right. Good as this game is, I do want it to come to the end now, because we've seen all the gameplay. We've seen all 4 courses. Straight into that blue car, which back in the day I presume would have been a Ligier perhaps, or maybe what was that, Leighton House? They were blue, wasn't they, back around about this era? Brake, go round the other way. See, this is professional driving now. I'm actually using the brake. So if any Formula 1 teams are watching this, thinking, yeah, that Nick, he's driving a bit good, then give me a drive. I'll do it for £1 million, which isn't much nowadays. If I'm not very good in the first race, well, you can sack me if you want, but just pay me the 1 million. It could be good. What's the worst that could happen? Well, I could flip into the harbour in Monaco, but that probably won't happen. It's all very safe nowadays, isn't it? As long as I've got fireproof overalls, I'm fine. And a teleport to get me out of the car should the worst happen. Right, must be near the end now. Can't hear Murray Walker to tell me whether it's near the end. Murray Walker was a commentator in the UK, if you're unaware. Good, right, we've done it. So, I hope you liked having a look at that one. I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure it's a game I'll go back to a lot, but for 1982 and that thing that the colour was there, I give it a big thumbs up. So, if you've got any comments about this game or similar games, then please put them below. That is Grand Prix on the Atari 2600 by Activision in 1982. A big thanks to everyone that subscribed so far, helping the channel push forward, because as I say, the more subscribers I get, the more chance I've got of surviving, and the more videos that go up and the more fun we have. If you want to help the channel a bit more, there's patreon.com/njenkin. Every bit really does help. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.